As we get older, we tend to drift away from our friends. We lose that sense of community. Now, the reason I'm saying this right now is because within the retro gaming community, there's a trend called the 5 games that made me a gamer. This video is my piece, my part in that trend. These are the 5 games that made me a gamer. This is my origin story. To start, we have to go back to 1991. The average price of a new car was $15,000, and the average price of a house was $147,000. The price for a Super Nintendo was $199. And one of the release games was, you know it, Super Mario World. It is widely regarded as one of the best platformers of all time. However, that's not why it makes my list. I woke up one Christmas morning to find a Super Nintendo hooked up to our TV. And my dad and me played this a lot together. In Super Mario World, well, to be honest with you, Super Mario World is really the only game my dad and me ever played together because, according to him, the biggest regret he has in raising me was buying that Super Nintendo. We would play Super Mario World together and we would just take turns getting through the levels. We only made it to the second world and we got stuck on the second castle in the second world. And I don't know what happened, we just couldn't beat it. This was the last time me and my dad ever really played video games together, and I didn't actually touch the Super Nintendo for quite some time, I'm gonna guess months. But I went back, and some reason I wanted to play Super Nintendo, and I went to that second castle and I beat it on my first try. This was like first or second grade. That was kind of the moment in time where I became a gamer. It was the first time I felt really good about something. I was so excited. I remember running upstairs and telling my dad that I beat the castle. And that's the story of why Super Mario World is the first one of my 5 games that made me a gamer. For the second game on my list, we have to jump ahead 8 years to the year 2000, when Diablo 2 came out for the PC. I was absolutely obsessed with this game when it came out. I remember we had like a 40-minute lunch break in high school, and me and my friends would literally drive to our closest friend's house, hook up multiple computers, and grind as many levels as we could during that short lunch break to play Diablo 2. This was the first time I'd really experienced online games to this extent. And Diablo 2 is really what propelled me over the next decade or so of my life, that all I did play was online games. It almost felt like single player games were just on the back burner. I would maybe play one every once in a while and beat it, but then it was just on to more online games. Jumping ahead 5 years now is a game that I've referenced in multiple other videos already on this channel, so many of you probably know that game is Killer 7. So while I was primarily playing online games, including still playing Diablo 2 at this point in time, I don't even remember why or where I saw Killer 7. I just remember I bought it. I was a sophomore, I think, in college, and I had it in my dorm room, and I just remember when I bought it, I was obsessed with it. And I still have that original PlayStation 2 memory card with a save file from this game. And the reason this game makes the list is because this was kind of the first time I realized that a game could be more than just a game or just entertainment. It could be art. It could have this really in-depth story. And like I've said before, it completely consumed me. As soon as I beat this game, I was on forums and reading articles about this game and just deep diving into theory on like what the heck was going on. So one of the things though about this game is it almost made me feel lonely. I tried to introduce it to friends and they couldn't get over the fact that it was on a rail system, so none of them had beat it. So I had to go online. I had to find other people who had this shared experience with me. And that's really why Killer 7's on this list. And to be honest, no other game has occupied a space in my mind as long as this game has. Like, I still think about it today, everything behind it. For the next game, we're only jumping ahead 2 years. In 2007 and 2008, I was deployed. And for anyone who's been in the military who is deployed, you know that you only do 2 things on deployment other than your job. And that's work out and play video games. And where I was stationed at, the internet was horrible. So at this point in time, I kind of had to rediscover single player games. In the first game that I played while I was deployed that was single player was Bioshock. And it really just made me love single player games again. And it's kind of funny because I was always a huge Final Fantasy fan and I loved storytelling through cinematics. And if you've played the original Bioshock, there's very few cinematics. You have to piece together the story. And that's why Bioshock's on this list, is it just kind of grew my love for single player games again. So for those of you who saw my son Stetson in the last video with the blaster playing Typing of the Dead with me, I haven't really shared this with a ton of people, but he was diagnosed with ADHD and ASD. And so one of the things that he has problems with are his motor skills. And I love giving him video games to play so he can work on those motor skills with his hands. So the last game on this list that I love for him and for me was Super Mario Wonder. And the reason I love this game is there's an accessibility to it where you can choose the characters that don't get hurt when they hit stuff. Although the one thing Stetson hates about it is he can't turn into the elephant because that is absolutely his favorite thing to do.